Welcome, weary travelers.
Did you remember to turn off those robots?
To infinity and beyond!
Welcome aboard Spaceship Earth.
WDW Radio, your information station.
Welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. This is show number 45 for the week of December 16th, 2007. I'm your host, Lou Mongello, and I want to thank you for tuning in once again. Last week was MouseFest 2007, the annual gathering of Disney fans from around the world in Walt Disney World, and it proved to be the biggest and truly the very best MouseFest ever. So rather than just giving my trip report, I thought we would have a MouseFest recap roundtable with some first-time MouseFesters and new members of the Disney community. It's a fun look back at for what many of us is one of the highlights of the year. And because there was so much to cover in that segment, as well as very little Walt Disney World news this week, we'll catch up on the news and rumor mill on next week's show. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show.
Well, hello there, WDW Radio Show listeners. This is Eric Hollister from geomouse.com, and it is time to update everyone on challenge number 11 with both the winner and the answers. But before I do, I wanted to take a quick second. A few weeks ago, many of you may remember that Mike Scopa came on to help us out with an attraction quote for challenge number 10. The challenge quote was, "Stop the movie." And many answers that came in, they basically were split right down the middle with "Oh Canada," which was actually the film that we were featuring the quote from, the new version of "Oh Canada" featuring Martin Short, and the other one was Muppet Vision 3D. Well, we weren't trying to throw anybody off, I promise, but thank you to listener Larry from Maryland. He actually provided us with some footage from Muppet Vision 3D, and in fact, the quote "Stop the movie" was also featured in that film. So first of all, I wanted to apologize to everyone who submitted Muppet Vision 3D as an answer, because in fact, technically you were also correct. So what we wanted to do in light of this was to not leave anyone out, and after this challenge is done, we're going to do a special drawing. We're going to pool all of those names together for challenge number 10 who submitted Muppet Vision 3D as an answer. We're going to pull one, and we are going to allow that winner the opportunity to name the starting line in the half marathon for Lou's Run. Also, second, we're going to let Larry, since he provided us with the footage, we're going to allow him to name the finish line in the challenge. And finally, geomouse.com is actually going to do a special $50 donation to the Dream Team Project in recognition for all of you who submitted Muppet Vision 3D as an answer for challenge number 10. Again, it was my fault, my apologies. We definitely were not trying to leave anyone out. But this is what we wanted to do in order to acknowledge those of you who did, in fact, submit Muppet Vision 3D, which also technically was a correct answer. So now, on to challenge number 11. We want to thank Matt Hochberg from StudioCentral.com, as well as the WDW Today podcast for help in challenge number 11. And before we get to the winner, we're going to go over the answers here real quick. The first question was, name the most recent actor to say Bond, James Bond. That was Daniel Craig in Casino Royale. Name the actor in Gone with the Wind who optimistically says tomorrow is another day. That would be Scarlett O'Hara. Name the film in which Owen Wilson says, "Speed, I am speed." That would be Disney's Pixar's Cars. Name the actor who shouts Adrian. Of course, those of you who are Rocky fans know that would be Sylvester Stallone. And finally, name the film in which Tom Hanks says, "Mama always said life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." That would be from Forrest Gump. So congratulations to everyone who had those answers. We went ahead and pooled all of them together, did a random drawing for the name, and the winner for challenge number 11 is Rebecca Roberts And Rebecca Roberts has decided to name mile marker number 11 as Take Me to My Laughing Place. So congratulations to Rebecca, who will win both Walt Disney World Trivia Books Volumes 1 and 2 signed by Lou Mongello, a DisneyWorldTrivia.com t-shirt, as well as a trading pin and lanyard by DisneyWorldTrivia.com. She also wins the Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End on DVD, as well as the hardcover edition of The Art of the Pirates of the Caribbean. She will also receive a certificate of dedication for mile marker number 11, which again is Take Me to My Laughing Place. And finally, she will be entered into the grand prize drawing, which will take place at the end of the marathon. And finally, GeoMouse.com will donate $100 to the Disney World Dream Team Project and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. If you would like to make a donation yourself, please feel free to click on the links on WDWRadio.com. We've also posted a link on GeoMouse.com. It's a great way to give for the holidays. For now, we're going to send it back to Lou Mongello, but stay tuned. We've got challenge number 12 coming up. Again, Rebecca Roberts, congratulations. Mile marker number 11 is Take Me to My Laughing Place. Back to you, Lou, and the WDW Radio Show.
This year's Mouse Fest was my fourth consecutive, and it once again brought together great friends and new acquaintances. It crafted some lasting memories, but yet it was really different from previous events in a number of ways. And Mouse Fest is a lot bigger, and I'm happy to say it's better than ever. And for all those listeners who were both there, as well as those of you who couldn't make it, I thought that we would recap what was an amazing few days in Walt Disney World. But rather than just have me kind of tell you about my opinions and experiences, I wanted to instead have a roundtable type discussion with other attendees as well as friends of the show. I think each is going to bring kind of their own unique perspectives, from the first-time attendee to some people who are relatively new members of the Disney Online community. So I'll kind of introduce them one by one. First is Glenn Whalen. He is a friend as well as a contributor to the show. He's also the owner of the Passamaquoddy blog. Glenn, welcome.
Thank you, Lou. It's great to be here.
Next is a man who's the same size as me in stature, of course. That's Eric Hollister. He's the owner of GeoMouse.com, founder of the Half Marathon Challenger Contest, incredible philanthropist, and all-around nice guy.
Mongello, everybody.
Mongello. That'll become funny, hopefully, later on down the road. Next, to give us a woman's and maybe cast members' point of view, is a longtime friend. It's Jessica. She's the owner of one of my favorite online destinations. That's the If We Can Dream It blog, and she's also a founding member of the WDW Crate Appreciation Society. Jessica, welcome.
Thank you, Lou. It's great to be here.
And yeah, of course, there's Jeff. I'm kidding, of course. Jeff was a big part of Mouse Fest for me. He joined me for one of my meets, the DSI for Frontierland, which was a lot of fun. So I said, what the heck, Jeff, I'll have you on the show. So I thought, like I said, the way we would do this is just kind of go day by day, talk about some of the events that we attended, as well as some of the meets that I hosted. We could talk about what the events were like, who was there, people we met, grown men screaming on dinosaur, and all the different derivations of the use of the word Mongello. So we're gonna kick things off with Wednesday, simply because that's the day that I got there. I wanted to get in a little bit early, even though Mouse Fest started officially on Thursday. And the first thing I did before I even checked into my hotel, I got my rent-a-car, and I tried to shoot over to Epcot to catch a soft opening of Spaceship Earth, because people were calling me and texting me that it was open. I did not get in, so I headed over to Disney's Animal Kingdom, where I had plans to meet up with Jessica so we could try out Yak and Yeti. And as I'm driving into the toll booth, maybe it was kind of foreshadowing, I'm sitting there with my window open, just kind of relaxing, excited to get in, and I hear somebody scream from like 4 rows over, Mongello! And I was a couple of other friends of mine saw me, so we all kind of met up and headed out to Yak and Yeti. So, Jessica, since you were there with me, we'll talk about the food aspect of it first, what you thought, and then we'll kind of maybe talk a little bit about the geek aspect.
This was my first time eating in the full service. I ate in the counter service twice, and I thought it was great. I thought it was wonderful theming. The food was excellent. The service was great. It was all around great experience.
Yeah, I was really, really impressed. Like I said, we ate there. I almost wish we'd have eaten there for dinner, just because I would have liked to have some more like appetizers and desserts and stuff like that. But all right, enough about the food. Geek aspect, very, very, very cool. Glenn, you talked about it before. You were actually the guy that gave us our first day report of it, and everything you said held true from a food perspective and a geek perspective. I just thought it was awesome. And from there, we had what did we do next, Jessica? We went over to, is that when we went over to Pangani?
Yes, I think we walked around there for a while. We met up with some other fans of yours, too, I think.
Yeah, I forget his name. I'm sorry. It was a cast member, Tom, Jim, something like that. We walked through Pangani.
Using the term fan literally, though, Jessica, right?
As in, man, I pay to come up to me and say hello while I'm at the parks. Yes, that's what we call fan. But yeah, we had fun in Pangani. We talked. We discovered or kind of made up as we went along the story of those wall carvings as you walked, as you started getting close to the exit.
Right, you're giving your own guided tour.
And picked up some listeners along the way, I think.
Yeah, we got applause at the end too, so that's always good.
Yeah, there were. Jessica, I think we should cover this as a segment on the show because it was really cool. There's an area of Pangani, Jeff, I'm sure you know, where there's these 5 kind of big, intricate wall carvings in this broken down building as you're getting close to the end. And somebody asked what the story was. So I kind of I think I made it up as I went along, but it made sense. It made sense. And people
it worked.
Yeah, it worked
for me.
So when people came along and were listening, and that was pretty fun. And I think we rode Everest, and then, is that when we rode Everest after that?
Yeah, I think we went after that, and I managed to survive yet again, so that's always a positive.
Yeah, Jessica and I were able to ride together, and she came out relatively unscathed. So, and then the one down moment of my MouseFest trip happened, and unfortunately, real work called, literally and figuratively, and I had to spend 3.5 hours on a payphone calling a conference call with 15 other people and trying not to let them know that I was in Disney World. And of course, I picked the phone that's in between the baby care center and the first aid station as the parade is going by. So I just told them I was in a public location and I was traveling that day, and hopefully nobody caught on. But the only other thing I wanted to mention about that night was that's when I checked into Caribbean Beach. I stayed in Martinique. Liked the resort. Again, for the amount of time I spent at MouseFest in the room, it really is nothing more than a bed for a couple of hours and a shower. And then I had a dinner meeting over at Grand Floridian at Citrico's, and the meal was just awesome. If you guys have never had a chance to eat there, it was exceptional. And they had this pumpkin cheesecake, and you get to see the decorations in the gingerbread house. So that was kind of my very quick pre-MouseFest day, but it was kind of a lot of fun, and kind of just as you started to ramp up to what was going to come the next day. Now, Thursday the 6th was the first real day, and it's kind of a half a day because the cruise portion ended in the morning, so the land portion didn't end until the afternoon. I spent my morning kind of doing a pre-scout out walkthrough of Frontierland for the DSI I was going to do with Jeff. I had a chance to meet up with some listeners. I met up with Jonathan Dichter, who I'm not kidding when I say I thought he was going to be taller. He just sounded taller on on all the podcasts he's on. And I met up with George and Andrew, the nerdy boys from ImagineNerding.com. And I'm sure that will not be the last time.
I think we all met up with the ImagineNerding boys.
They were like the Jonathan Dichter of MouseFest because they were everywhere. They were at every meet and sucking up to as many people in the online community as possible. So.
Yeah, in the midst of all that, I was getting a text message as I was driving through Jacksonville saying, "Where the heck are you?" That's right.
Well, we didn't want to have all the fun without
your cell phone thrown through.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. We have to get to the cell phone question. That's later, Jessica. Okay,
yeah. I'm jumping the gun there.
All I can say
that's when it was still securely on my person as I was driving down Interstate 95. So.
Those two guys were the biggest proponents of 2719 Hyperion.blogspot.com. They were promoting you big.
How much did Jeff pay you to...
I put them up to it exact. that's all rooted in the fact that where that all came from, just so everybody knows, is like for like 2 months they never gave me credit for doing their logo on their blog. So I gave them grief one day. I said, you could at least mention it. So I think everywhere where George went, he handed somebody a business card. We're from Imagineering, and Jeff Pepper did our logo, as was his standard greeting, I think, for introducing himself to everybody.
Well, I think they made up for it in 4 days. They made up for literally what amount to hundreds of plugs for 2719. But listen, Jeff, we'll touch about the whole 2719 thing when we get to the Mega Mouse meet.
Sorry, excuse me. By the way, did I say that I did their logo for them?
Yeah. It was mentioned.
But MouseFest really kicked off with something new this year, which I think was a great idea that Mike Scopa had. And it really was just MouseFest 101. And it was sort of a kickoff introductory meet to explain for especially the first-time MouseFesters what it was all about, the best ways to approach MouseFest, how to really get the most out of MouseFest without killing yourself or people you're traveling with, literally and figuratively. Now, you guys who were there, I know Glenn was there.
I thought it was great. It was an awesome way to get together with people and put a face to a name, or in some cases put a screen name to a face, or in some cases put an avatar to a screen name to a name to a face. It was really good to have all these people together, and it was sort of like one big mouse club. Suddenly we got everyone together, and you really started to make connections.
Yeah, there must have been, 200, 250 people up in the Tomorrowland Noodle Station.
Right.
Jessica, you were there too?
Yes, I was. It was great. It was great watching the guests walk by. There was 200 crazy Disney geeks out there, and they would just walk by and give us looks. But it was a great time. It was my first time meeting a lot of people, and it was my first Mouse Fest, so it was a great way to get started without being overwhelmed at the beginning. I thought it was a great idea.
And you use the key word, because MouseFest is overwhelming. And if you look at your pocket guide, you'll see that there's so many meets and so many different directions you could be pulled in that you could kind of almost not have a good time because you're trying to do too much. And I think Mike and Mark Goldhaber did a very good job of explaining the whole process to you so you could really get the most out of it. And then Mike did something unexpected that I thought was really, really cool and funny because it was at somebody else's expense. Was he came up to me and he said, "Listen, I'd like to do something for the charities with Matt. Are you okay with that?" And I said, "Listen, I'm anything for the charity, I'm totally game for." So at one point he's talking, and I think we all know it's legendary that Matt Hochberg from WDW yesterday is deathly afraid what of the dinosaur attraction for some strange reason. So Mike walks over to him and he slaps $10 down on the table in front of him and says, "All right, Matt, this $10 is yours. If you ride Dinosaur, you take that $10, you give half to Deb's charity for breast cancer, you give half to Lou's charity for Make-A-Wish Foundation," and puts the guy on the spot. And after that, it was just, a mad rush of people. I stood up and I said, "Well, Matt, if you do it, I'll give you $100 to split between the two charities." And people started coming up, and it was funny because it was just great, but it also showed the generosity of the community, because in that quick, 10 minutes, we raised almost $500 for the two charities.
Yeah, it was great.
That was great.
And again, at Matt Hochberg's expense, so
an added plus.
Exactly. The sky was the limit as far as my donations were concerned at that point. So that was followed by the MouseFest Chairman's Kickoff, hosted by Dave Marks. Kind of just really an extension of what started with the MouseFest 101, which was giving everybody a chance to kind of get up and start to put the faces to the names and meet each other and spend some time just getting the introductions almost out of the way before all the other events got started. So from there was a little bit of time before Mike Scopa's Dole Whip meet, which was at 3 o'clock. And I think this is when, guys, didn't we head over to the Haunted Mansion at this point?
Yeah, once you graduate from your adoring fans.
Again,
I think George and Andrew are going to pick you up and drive you over.
Yeah, George and Andrew at one point physically
all two of them
physically removed me from the Tomorrowland Terrace Noodle Station so we could have time to head on over, because the mansion was closed in the morning for some reason, so we were able to catch it in between.
Yeah, I think we all marched over there en masse and had a great ride over there.
Yeah, it was cool. And then, again, you want to talk about number of people gathering in a single location. Mike Scopa's Dole Whip meet is another one of those super, super popular meets. And there must have been 100+ people there. And I think the poor cast members behind the counter were just overwhelmed, never having lines like that before.
No one could get through.
Now, guys, what I was curious about is, since I didn't attend the Dole Whip meet, was with so many people there, how did it actually work with that many people in line, and were people just totally disconnected? Some people ordering, some people eating. I mean, it's just interesting.
Yeah, it was organized chaos. There was, everyone made up their own rules about how it was going to work, and people still continued to shake hands and meet people for the first time. It was almost a continuation of the first two meets, moving over to a different location.
It's just that is such a congested spot anyway, where that is in an Adventureland. So I was just curious.
Yeah, the poor guests really couldn't get through, but.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the size of MouseFest, and this is one of the things I think we're going to have to take into consideration as it continues to get bigger, is, some of these venues like that we take over, I mean, it really does sort of impede traffic, and you don't want to raise the eyebrows or the ire of Disney by doing that, so... But this is where I got to meet some people who I'd never met before. I met Dan and Eric from Mouse Guest. I met Lisa from Those Darn Cats. And Eric, this is, I think, the first time that you showed up to some of the Mouse Fest stuff, right?
Absolutely, yeah. When I walk into usually Walt Disney World, I transform from 29 to 8, which means I usually head off to just as many attractions as I possibly can. And I think during the time when you guys were doing Mouse Fest 101, I decided to go on Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin. And if you've ever been on it solo as a 6'8" person, you get a lot of interesting looks from the cast members as you're getting on board. But needless to say, it was not a quick line, and by the time I'd gotten off, everybody was heading over to the Dole Whip meet.
Yeah, and from there, again, especially on Thursday, like you said, most of the group just kind of started moving from location to location. From there, a lot of people went over to Steve Barrett's Hidden Mickeys, the first of his Hidden Mickeys hunt, which was Pirates of the Caribbean, and you're saying, okay, wow, that sounds really cool, except when your boat gets stuck for about 30 minutes because one of the boats bottomed out, two boats in front of us, and they could not get it to move, yeah. So if you think sitting in It's a Small World and just hearing that song over and over again is bad, try sitting right before the drop in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, I was on that with Lori Loves Tigger, and every time we went through with the "We want the redhead," she was yelling, "I'm right here!
Again, we all spent our 30 minutes differently, but couldn't wait to get off the boat. I've actually known Lori and her mom for a number of years, and she's great. So if there was anybody other than Jessica I'd rather sit next to for 30 minutes on Pirates of the Caribbean, it would be her. But as we were leaving, and I was talking to Ray and Cindy from the Bare Necessities podcast, they are really, they're funny people, and they have a lot of fun at these events, and this was no different. And I hope I'm not getting them in trouble when I say this, because they're just very laid back. They literally broadcast from their living room, and you get that sense from them. And as we're starting to walk back from the Haunted Mansion, he's like, "Yeah, Lou," and I'm not going to do my worst Southern drawl. He's like, "You didn't get a chance to try one of our Dole Runners." I'm like, "A Dole Runner? What's that?" And he whips out a little, airplane-sized thing of rum. And he's like, "Yeah, you put a little bit of rum in the bottom and you mix it." And it's great. So if you can imagine, Jeff, you talked about the dynamic of the Dole Whip meat. Well, now throw a little bit of rum onto the bottom. You can only imagine.
Adventureland never looked the same again.
So it's probably getting close to 5-ish or so, and a lot of people are starting to kind of gather to see the castle lighting ceremony. But this is where I got a chance to do one of the things at MouseFest, which for me personally is just one of the single great moments that I get to do, and I was able to do it last year. I was able to do it again this year. It's not on the schedule. It's not something I try and make a big deal about. But, I've always been about giving back, not just to people in the Disney community and, with the kids and Make-A-Wish, but I always like being able to spread a little bit of joy or Disney magic, whatever you want to call it, when I go down during the holidays. And for the past 2 years, thanks to the very generous help of a listener and his wife, who I'll just call Doc, he's allowed me to make that happen by including me as part of it. And what they've done is they've sent me tickets to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party for the night that we all go to use as I see fit. So last year what I did, and I did again this year, was I try and find people to basically invite to come to the party. And last year it was awesome because I found a grandmother and her granddaughter who were there in Walt Disney World for the first time. This year I was able to find an older couple who had been to Walt Disney World back like in the early 70s when it first opened. They came back to spend the holidays at Walt Disney World together again. Both times I kind of approach them and explain what I want to do. I get the funny looks from them. They look around for security. Once they realize I'm not an absolutely, completely lunatic, you kind of do the whole warm and fuzzy thing, and I try not to get, overly emotional and sentimental. But it's really like a special moment for me. This year and last year were just awesome. I want to thank Doc and his wife again for doing that. I know a bunch of people were around to see that as we were waiting for my wife to come from the airport. So
That's great, Lou. Very nice.
Thanks, Glenn. I always liked you best. So, but so Deanna came. Deanna came that night, so we met her on Main Street, and then from there, a bunch of us went to go. Jeff, that's when we went over to Cosmic Rays to have dinner. It was me, you, Byron, and Mark Goldhaber, right?
No, because my adventure was happening right before.
That's right. Please.
Yeah, you guys tell the story of the monorail now.
That's right.
No, this is when you guys were, I think, ceremoniously waiting on Pirates or getting off of Pirates. That was about the time that my cell phone got knocked into the monorail track at the Ticket and Transportation Center. and then, basically, if anybody's listening, and the monorail got shut down for a brief period of time, right around 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, that was all me. Because it's funny, just to throw in a little, anecdotal kind of situation about, Disney's great guest services, is if you drop your cell phone into the monorail track, they have to turn the power off and get the maintenance crew over there to walk the track and find it for you. And they'll do that immediately. They were basically said, we just got to wait till the maintenance crew gets over here and they got to turn the power off. And all happy smiles, and we'll take care of you, and not to worry, it won't get smashed or crushed or electrocuted. And so subsequently, though, I was waiting. Then what happened is that one of the actual monorail trains went down. It had a problem, and the maintenance crew had to get it off the track. I guess they had to take it off to the back to the roundhouse or whatever. So that was going to delay it. And so the lady said, "Hey, just go over to the Magic Kingdom, and we'll send it over to Lost and Found for you there." So that was all very interesting, and again, just shows you to the extent they go to help you out in those kind of situations. But so I had to wander into the Magic Kingdom totally incommunicado, trying to figure out where the heck everybody was, and so I sort of just naturally went to the hub, and just started wandering around, hoping I would bump into somebody. And as luck would have it, Lori. You guys were talking about Lori. Lori walked over, and it was one of these, "I am so glad to see you. Where's your phone?" And I was able to catch up with you guys. I guess you guys were heading that direction over from Adventureland, so then we were able to hook up. So
you've got some monorail issues, don't you? Between me and you on the monorail platform.
Please stand clear of my phone.
Somebody broke my heart on a monorail back in May, but we won't talk.
Yeah, listen, Jeff. You know by now, if I'm going, man, you got to keep up, because I'm just not going to wait for you.
But the best part too then was when I went to pick up the phone at Lost and Found a few minutes later, and the guy said, "What kind of phone it is?" And I said, "Black."
Great.
And the guy was I give him credit. He was trying so hard to be polite. And he said, "Well, what brand is it?" I was like, "I don't know." And I said, "It's got a picture of a dog on the screen." So it just went down.
Cody is just rolling his eyes right now at you.
Yes, he is. But great guy, great guest service. Found my phone within a couple minutes, and I had it back. So.
Now, were you guys all there to watch the castle lighting ceremony that night?
Yeah.
I was not.
And what'd you think?
I was not.
Where were you guys? Oh, wait, let me guess.
I was actually...
You were following George and Andrew somewhere.
I was with George and Andrew at the Mexico Pavilion for what was really a great meal. We had an awesome time. I really got to know those guys. It was like I knew them forever.
Let me just check my calendar a second. Thursday night, Magic Kingdom night, and you guys are in Epcot. Okay, just
Yeah,
making
we're in
sure.
Epcot.
Okay.
Well, it actually
Different.
it actually worked out that they had free dinner in the Epcot Pavilion, which included appetizer, dinner, and dessert for 4 people. So so I had no problem going over there for that.
And I have to admit, I was actually heading back to the hotel room because I had a 3 o'clock. I was up at 3 o'clock that morning to catch a flight due to some weather, and I was struggling by 6:30, so I had to call it early just to have enough energy for the rest of the weekend.
Lightweight.
I know, exactly. Here comes the Lou Mangello. What are you talking about? Rolling the eyes, whatever. So I am not worthy.
Did anybody go to the Christmas party with me that night? Was anybody there?
I did. Your faithful loyal Tonto here.
Jessica, were you working that night?
Yeah, I was making the magic, so I was regrettably not there for the castle lighting.
You have an excuse. The other guys, I don't know. Because this was the official Mouse Fest Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party night. And, again, this was this same large group kind of gathering in the Rose Garden by the old Swan Boat landing to stay for the fireworks and just kind of meet and greet. And then a lot of people went over to Frontierland to watch the parade. Jeff, you and I were going over to Frontierland to kind of scout out the location. Little did we know that the parade was going on right then. So,
Yeah, they terrible timing on their part. They should have checked with us first.
Yeah, that was a recurring theme for me during Mouse Fest. Was the timing of things for me was not all that good, and I'm going to try and work on that next year because every meet or event that I plan coincided with fireworks or parades or some sort of exploding incendiary device in the near region. So, but that was I had a really, really good time on Thursday. I mean, it was a lot of fun just meeting everybody, and then we hung out at night. We rode a couple of attractions before calling it a relatively early night. And you guys
we
got
did Haunted
nothing.
Mansion again. You did Haunted Mansion with me, I think, after all was said and done, and before we made our way out to the front.
Yeah, trying to definitely get squeeze every little bit out of that you can out of every day. So, but Friday was a really busy day. There was a lot going on Friday, and Friday traditionally has been a split day, meaning that we do Animal Kingdom in the morning and we do MGM/Hollywood/whatever studios in the evening. And this is one of those days that potentially you could be going literally from dusk to dawn. We started out, I had an ADR over for Tusker House, so we met up with Jeff, albeit a little bit late, for Tusker House, and we got to try out the new character breakfast. Again, albeit we sort of inhaled our meal, but Jeff, what do you think? I really liked it. I really liked the buffet there.
I really did too. It was like you said, it was fast, but I think it was one of those things where instead of taking 2 or 3 plates, we piled it all on one and got through it. But the food was really, really good and it was really delicious, and I really loved that venue. I just love the atmosphere in that location, so it was really good.
Yeah, detail-wise, it hasn't really changed very much from what it was before, but the buffet is huge. I mean, there's a lot of, besides being in the perimeter where the counter service used to be, there's also stations in the middle, and I thought I heard somebody refer to it as almost like a mini Boma, and to a certain degree it is because you do get a lot of very different food there. It's not just eggs and bacon and pancakes. There's a lot of different types of breads. There's different types of omelets and things like boba tea from Africa. So you get a lot of very cool things that you won't be able to try elsewhere, and of course you get the characters as well.
Yeah, that was funny you said that because that's exactly what I was thinking. I have done breakfast at Boma and really, really enjoyed it there, and it did remind me some of the menu selections and just the general atmosphere.
And again, I went Mouse Fest for me anyway. I'm Mouse Fest only because I'm doing so much. Mouse Fest and kids don't mix, so I didn't bring my kids down. But they were with Grandma, Grandpa, who decided to call me from home while I'm having breakfast with the characters. And of course, we've told my kids who are 2 and 4 that we're at a meeting, and there's music playing in the background, and Mickey's coming over, and I'm like, dude, I'm on the phone with my kids. Get out! I'm trying to push Mickey to the side.
Dude.
And meanwhile, he's got Jeff across the table. He's like, Mickey, all right, buddy, high five, yeah. Hey, Donald, all right, yeah. Lou's doing the, Ixnay on the, the character.
So From there, we went over to the 7th annual Kilimanjaro Safari meet. This is a meet that goes back with Deb Wills, hosted by Deb Wills, to the pre-Mousefest days when it was originally the RADP, the Rec Arts Disney Park meet that has kind of joined forces with Mousefest. So she's been doing this a number of years. And I don't know, does anybody remember what the total count was? I mean, they had close to 200 people, I think, filling Jeeps.
Yeah, I think it was 178 or something like that.
And this is where, again, Disney was great, and we're talking about Disney kind of recognizing what we're doing. They had somebody come over. They had a lead come over and take us into the Fast Pass entrance and get us on, obviously not one Jeep, but a series of Jeeps sort of back-to-back. Really, really very, very accommodating. With that many people, it went exceptionally smoothly considering the numbers. So from there, again, the whole 200 of us moved over to Expedition Everest. We met up again with the Nerdy Boys. We met up with George and Andrew, as well as we got to meet Ray. He's a fellow blogger, relatively new person in the online community from Grumpy's Hollow?
Grumpy's Hollow.
Yeah, really nice guy.
Nancy was...
Yeah, wonderful wife. Again, the very supportive wife, very important. And again, Ray makes me feel tall because he is. There is actually somebody out there that is shorter than I am that does not shop at the Children's Place. So it was nice to take a picture or many pictures next to Ray. And speaking of pictures, I will put up a link in the show notes. I'm going to upload all my photos to my gallery on the site and link to them so you can kind of follow along to what we're doing. But Everest was a lot of fun too. Everest is awesome.
Yes. It was nice to see the Yeti up and working again, because we spent a few weeks where it was he was down.
Yeah, Yeti was in B mode for a while, just kind of sitting there with the
strobe light effect.
Well, at that point, we didn't. I didn't ride Everest. I took off with George and Andrew because Jessica was waiting for us in Dinoland. And what did we have to do, Jessica? We had to do some tough love and hardcore tutoring, right?
We had our own little JSI right there.
These boys needed educated, and then we took them under our wing and showed them some of the sights.
But they still haven't quite graduated to that next level yet, have they?
Well, we're giving Andrew some Andrew's coming around, but George has got a long way to go. We got to spend a lot of time.
We kid because we love. They're good guys. They're from the Imagine Nerding blog. So, but yeah, these guys were everywhere. I mean, they were literally everywhere throughout the entire Mousefest meets. But but
you get them into Restaurantosaurus, and I'm thinking about his food. Right, Jessica? I mean, you don't go to Restaurantosaurus for the food.
No, you got to look around.
We're trying to take them room by room, show them all the stuff, and they're worried about lunch. I mean,
again, lightweights. What was that, Jeff? Leave the heavy lifting. Whatever. So,
yeah.
But we come out of Everest, and most of the people hadn't started moving over towards Dino Land yet because there was a meet on the schedule, I think, for 11 o'clock. Well, Matt Hochberg says, well, this is my opportunity. I'm going to dart over there with nobody else around and try and get on Dinosaur, do my obligatory ride, and nobody can see me sort of cowering the corner. Sorry, Matt. Curses foiled again, because waiting there was Fred Block, Mike Scopa. I was following you, and we had a great truck that we filled with Matt and his oh-so-patient fiancée, Marissa. And somehow my wife ended up sitting next to him, which, I wasn't happy about, but that's all right. And you want to talk about, it was a classic photo. It is going to be up online. I'm going to pass it out to all the bloggers that I ask that you please distribute as freely as possible. And we're going to actually do, somebody came up with a great idea. We're going to do something very cool with one of the 11 by 14 poster-sized prints that I had made up for Matt. So, but
cool.
And then we came off and he tried to leave, and the RADP people who were waiting there for him were mad that he tried leaving, so he had to go back again. Although I don't think he got coerced to ride a second time. So, but this is where the break comes, because the schedule's so packed tightly. For the most part, there was a couple more meets in Animal Kingdom, but everybody started to kind of make their way over to Disney MGM Studios. It was the first meet that I know I was going to was going to be Star Tours. Again, it happens to be Matt's. But my wife and Steve Barrett's wife went and had lunch, and I got to do something. I had a little bit of like quiet downtime to myself. Just grabbed a bucket of popcorn and soda, just kind of sat on a bench, watched people go by, which was like one of those nice quiet moments that you don't get very much of during this week. When did you guys start making your way over to MGM?
I didn't make it over there for a while. Actually, I had lunch in Epcot. So
you know that there's 3 other parks, right? If you told me you had another free lunch in Mexico, no,
it wasn't a free lunch, but I got an ADR in Le Cellier, and you know how rare that is. So I really wanted to, I really have to take it. So I met a great guy out of Tampa named Annie Jackson, and I met with Brian Ripper and his wife from All About the Mouse, and we went over and enjoyed our lunch at Le Cellier. So, I didn't make it over there till the evening. What was that?
I was just saying that's where I ran into Glenn, because I was at Epcot, like in between Animal Kingdom and MGM Studios, and I had this great idea that I was going to walk from the International Gateway over to MGM Studios rather than just take my car. And I saw Glenn and the guy he was with, and they pointed out that not only was I heading in the wrong way, but I had about a 2.5 mile trek to go. So I figured, why not? I'm going to exercise here. Got about halfway, turned around, got my car, and drove back. So I ended up driving over to the studios and had lunch.
So I'll say I was on my way to the studios, being text messaged by some guy that was sitting on a bench eating popcorn, saying, "You're spending too much time with George and Andrew. Where the heck are you? And who do you work for, buddy?"
Well, wait a minute. You give me grief that I leave you on monorail tracks and I take off too quickly, and then you give me grief if I go looking for you. So next year you're on your own.
Lou was a good guy. He was always worried about where I was. So. Yeah. I was coming. Jessica, did you have to work again because you went to MGM, did you?
I went over to MGM because we had lunch at Flame Tree, and then we went over after that. So I hung around for a little bit after that. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about eating the Flame Tree. That's right.
So how many?
We were showing George and Andy.
Did any of you guys make it over to Star Tours?
No, I was finishing off lunch. I was heading over to Star Tours.
Yeah, I did Star Tours.
And I actually headed over to the Contemporary Hotel to see Dave Barry, so I was not at that park either. Dave Barry was doing a book signing over in the Contemporary, and there was nobody there, so I got to spend about 15 minutes talking to him.
And just for people who may not know, explain who Dave Barry is and what he
Dave Barry was a columnist for the Miami Herald who has written several comedy books and several books that have been made into movies, and there was a comic strip called Dave's World that was based on him, and he's always been like a hero of mine, and he's got a great Christmas book out now called The Shepherd, the Angel, and Walter the Christmas Miracle Dog, which is a great... Anyway, I'm really off topic now.
Again, I'm looking at the MouseFest schedule, and I see nothing about Dave Barry. But that's
yeah, you don't see Dave Barry on there, but he...
Well, after enduring Matt's Star Tours meet, we had Podfest. It's the second year of Podfest over at the Backlot Express. Again, timing and location being everything that it was. Last year I had to compete with Lightning McQueen and Tow Mater coming out next to the patio. This year we went down below, closer towards Indiana Jones. Again, I had to deal with the parade and Indiana Jones. And next year I promise I found a new venue, much quieter, thanks to actually Glenn, your suggestion. But this was really an opportunity for the listeners to meet the podcasters to meet one another, as well as introduce some of the listeners to some of the new shows that are out there, because last year when I hosted the meet, it was really sort of that first big year of podcasting, and especially Disney podcasting. You know, when I first started doing a podcast, there was maybe 5, if that many, Disney podcasts. And then last year, that number grew probably tenfold. And now this year, if you do a search in iTunes, literally 100 shows will pop up. And, you know, again, there's something for everybody. So this was in the spirit of MouseFest, allowing us to be able to introduce some of these new shows, and some shows were very new. I mean, there was one guy who was there who literally had just put out his first show that week. So, but other than me having to scream and maybe not hear everybody, I think the meet was a lot of fun, and it was great to see some of my old friends that I hadn't seen really since last year's Mouse Fest. What did you guys that were there? I know, Glenn, you were probably in Epcot, but everybody else that was there for Podfest.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody had a problem hearing you, Luz. Nobody could see you. That was the problem.
Oh, my. Yeah, talking about running jokes of the week, the Lou Mangello height jokes were...
Here I have to do my obligatory sidekick. Good picking on Lou, everybody.
Oh, please. You were right in there with them. I would turn around and I'd see you looking at the corner eye, hoping I didn't hear the comments.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
No, I will say it was interesting putting faces. It was interesting putting faces to voices because you're always trying to picture people. The one thing that I thought was interesting is as I started talking to some of these guys, I had no idea that they had recording devices in their hands and were recording as we were talking. So that was a unique experience just to try to stay on topic and also make sure that you didn't say anything inappropriate either.
Much like this episode of the show. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, after all the introductions were done, it really just became a recording frenzy for the most part. And I actually never even got a chance to start recording just because we were talking to people and there was just so much going on that I never got really a chance to take the mic out and start talking to people, unfortunately. But I have to say, one really cool thing that happened there was Lisa from Those Darn Cats had come over, and she had a shirt on, and I've never been approached by a person, male or female or otherwise, with a shirt on that said Mangello and asked me to sign it. So I have to say thank you to Lisa because that was a very cool, albeit awkward moment for me. So, and I signed her back. Let's be clear, I signed it on the back. So.
Lou Mangello officially joined the ranks of the Gap, Abercrombie & Fitch, and all those great stores the day or the moment that happened.
But the thing you guys didn't see was shortly after when it all broke up, Deanna pulled him over to a corner like by Pizza Planet and just the heck out of him. I walked away. It was embarrassing. Again,
the whole supportive wife thing really, it really evidenced itself right then and there. So I thank you to Lisa and thank you to my wife, both for being patient. All right. Thank God this isn't a webcam because I can only imagine how many shades of red I'm turning. So, from there, a new meet this year was hosted by Fred Block from Magic Meets, and he held his Muppets Take Mouse Fest meet over at Muppet Vision. And again, great turnout for people. He had 100+ people over there, had a lot of fun. But, I know, Glenn, you were there, and Jeff. I was so exhausted at that point that I was like, you know what? I can't sit through Muppets at this point. And we just were able to kind of sit down and just relax on a bench outside by Pizza Planet, where the beatings took place, actually.
Right.
Right nearby, yes.
Because, now you guys are first-time Mouse Festers, so you tell me, was it, at this point, now remember, it's only Friday. You haven't even hit the Mega Meet yet. Was it as crazy, busy, and exhausting as you thought it would be, or less so than what you were expecting?
I personally thought it was far more crazy than I thought it was going to be, because when I first got the schedule, I looked at it and intelligently came up with a schedule that wouldn't make me not be exhausted, and when reality came into being, that schedule got thrown out the window because I couldn't even keep up with that schedule because so many things were happening. It was pretty insane. It's really difficult to do everything you want to do.
Right.
Yeah, there's no downtime at all. I mean, you're so busy that even when you have a moment, you end up being with your friends and you're talking like crazy because you have the opportunity to be with them and you're making new friends and you're chatting a lot, and it's just, even when you have free moments, they're technically not free moments.
Right. I was impressed with the overall structure of it. I mean, when you get when you get something of that size and magnitude, you start to think, okay, well, people are going to lose track of time. People aren't going to show up to their own meets. But everybody was on point, and everybody ran. I would say everybody ran everything very smoothly.
Yeah, because like you said, everything is, for the most part, back to back to back. And even if you say, well, I'm going to take a break, I'm not going to go to that meet, there's so much else going on. And like you said, Jeff, you're talking to new friends, or you're kind of meandering your way over to something else. So you're going. I mean, you're on all the time. And those little moments of downtime, you cherish, because you get to sit down on a bench and just relax and talk in a small group of people. Jessica, where were you at this point?
Let's see. Well, I came in late to the pod fest because George, Andy, and I got caught up by the parade.
There's George and Andy again.
George and I walked.
These guys are everywhere.
So George and I took the opportunity to walk around the Muppet store, and I was pointing out all the details because, like, every blog post I do is about that store. So I was pointing out all the cool stuff there. So we actually came in late. So we ended up just talking to everyone. We actually missed the Muppet Fest altogether because we were chatting with everyone.
So for George,
for a while, got some ice cream.
For those two guys, it really was more of like an educational field trip. Spending time with you and Jeff and me, and teaching them what they think that they knew about Disney World.
and
they were great. They were just cooking it all in.
And I will say that I actually ended up getting some strange looks over at Epcot indirectly because of Jessica that day. I had seen a group of you guys at Animal Kingdom that morning, and she was wearing a purple Figment Santa cap. Well, I collect all the Disney Santa caps that come out every year, so I immediately rush over to Epcot, go to the stores. Every single cast member thought I had lost my mind when I asked them if they had a Figment Santa cap. Well, later on that day at Podfest, I saw her, and I'm like, where did you get that? She tells me that she made it. So I said, well, that would explain, one, why they didn't have it, and two, why they thought I had lost my mind when I asked them. Because I was dead, so I'm like, I know somebody has got it. No, sir, we don't think so. But
that was Celebration 25 all over again, because she made...
Yeah, I aim to annoy, that's my goal.
You made these awesome Spaceship Earth Mickey ears, and the time that I spent with you, at least 20 people came up to you asking you where you got them.
Oh, yeah.
There's a blog post. There's a blog post in the near future showing off your handiwork.
Jessica, she'll be working for the Disney Design Group very soon. And
yes.
Just remember us little people.
I wish.
Remember us little people, pardon the pun, when that day comes. So
I'll pull out some Angelo shirts or something.
So we started heading over towards Sunset Boulevard. We kind of met up with Steve's Hidden Mickey's Meet, which was in progress. Spent some time playing around with some of the Streetmosphere characters. Jeff, that was really cool. I really liked the Streetmosphere people in MGM.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Deanna had a good time with the one Dante. What's his name? Dante. I can't remember his whole name. Popop Productions.
Right.
Yeah.
She had a good interacting with him when you and I were going taking pictures.
Yeah, and then there was the Jonathan Dichter's All About the Mouse, Rockin' Mouse Roller Coaster, Please Don't Let Me Get Sick meet. And that was, unfortunately, I got online, but I had to ditch because we had an ADR over at 50s Primetime, which I still think is just one of the best places to eat in all of Walt Disney World for good comfort food and just a good, fun dining experience. And Jeff, we had a great cousin serving us. I mean, she was a lot of fun and talk trivia too.
Awesome.
Yeah, we were all about the trivia with her, and I think initially she didn't know what she was up against between the two of us, and then I think Deanna had to referee some of the some of the answers came into dispute. Things were getting rough.
We started talking to her, and she says, "Okay," and she throws down a piece of paper. She throws down the gauntlet literally, and says, throws down a paper and pen and says, "Okay, name me 10 Disney movies." Which one did she do first that were based in England? Was the base in England?
Yeah, that was it.
So we're pulling things out like Ichabod and Mr. Toad and some of these other things. And she's like, no. And Jeff's like, trust me, Ichabod and Mr. Toad set in England. She's like, no. Jeff's like, look, 1945. And he starts rattling off the thing. And she's like, all right, dork. Let's move on to something else. And then it's like, well, are we talking sequels? Are we talking direct to DVD? But she was a lot of fun. I mean, we spent a good couple hours there too.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time, and yeah, she was a lot of fun, to the point where then she was recruiting us to come up with questions for, to use on a regular basis with other folks.
Now, did any of you guys get to go over and see? I know, Jeff, we walked over, and as the park really was closing, we saw the Osborne lights. Anybody else get to see the lights this year?
Yes.
And
I did, but not that night. Yeah.
And what do you think? I mean, I just think they're spectacular. Now that they dance, it's even, the wow factor's just increased so many more fold. All right, I hate to be a hypocrite, but I was really planning on going to the Adventurers Club that night, and then when I realized I was never going to make that, I was going to go over to Paul Barry's Yeehaw Bob meet. Couldn't make that meet either. I was literally exhausted by this point, and I knew that Saturday with the mega meet was really going to be a long, very, very busy day, and to say that it was bigger than ever is an understatement. 4 years ago, the first time I went, the room was literally, guys, when I say it was maybe a tenth of the size of that room, it's not an exaggeration. And if there was maybe 10 or 11 tables around the perimeter of authors and webmasters, there weren't even podcasters back then, that was a lot. And we had a few hundred people come through that room. This year, they're telling me that the room, we had about 1,500 people go through that room. And I don't know what the exact square footage was, but overwhelming number of people. Why don't you guys tell me, maybe one at a time, what your thoughts were of the mega meet, from the venue to the people that were there. Maybe we'll go ladies first, Jessica, Jeff, Glenn, and then Eric.
Well, I got there a little late. I think we got there for the last hour of it because my family actually came to town. So my mom and my grandmother came in, and we walked in the door, got to Lou's table, and stayed there for the rest of the time we were there. And it was great. Like, people just come up that I had talked to online, old friends, new friends. It was a great experience. I didn't even get to walk around the room, so I'm kind of regretting that, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for your loyalty, Jessica. Jeff, take note.
Jeff, take note. Can I talk now? I spent the entire time slaving behind the WDW radio, Disney World Trivia, selling books, selling audio tapes, or records, and I said, "Can I go to the bathroom, Lou?" No, Jeff, just stay right there, please.
I think I said don't. Didn't I say don't address me in public first, and then?
Yeah, there was something like. And then Deanna took him aside, beat him again, and said, "Please let Jeff go to the bathroom." And I did. Yeah, in all seriousness, it was amazing. I really got to say, I had never been to anything. Magic Meets, we did Magic Meets, and it was similar to Magic Meets, but I was just amazed at just the nonstop flow of people that came to the table to get the books, to talk to us about the podcast. It was just unbelievable just how friendly and just outgoing everybody was, and just this constant mass of people. And then when Jessica and the brothers Taylor showed up, I mean, all heck broke loose again as usual. And there was the kind of it de-evolved from that point on to just general insanity. I mean, just everybody horsing around and having a good time. And then there was the raffle and just everything going crazy with everybody trying to get over there for the raffle. But it was just a lot of fun and just a lot of good times. But I was overwhelmed by it. I couldn't believe just the massive people that were there.
And again, just a quick interject here. A lot of fun, again, being had at Lou's expense. A listener was kind enough to bring me a present, and said, he walks over to me and says, "Lou, I want you to know I brought you a present, and unfortunately I might have overestimated your size when I got this." And he brings out this teeny tiny little kitty t-shirt that like a Build-A-Bear could wear, and on the back is this logo, like a Jell-O logo, and it says, "Everything goes better with Mongello." So I thank you for the shirt and the fun that everybody seemed to have as the t-shirt made its way around at my expense. So.
Well, the real magical moment of that was when the lady came up and asked me to sign your book.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Yeah. It was like dead silence. To which point then Lou pulled me aside and beat me to death with the book.
Glenn and Eric, what about you guys?
Well, for me, it was huge. I was actually surprised at the size of the room I don't know how it was for vendors, but as an attendee, it made it very comfortable, very easy to get around. I didn't feel like I was queuing up for anything. If I wanted to go, I could cross across the room and say hi to Lou or say hi to somebody else. So that was a great environment for me. I intended on spending about an hour there originally, and then ended up being there for 3.5 hours. So what I thought was going to be just something I was going to peek in and see what was going on, ended up meeting a lot of people. It was really great.
And I got there about halfway through, and obviously an entirely large room, and it was about the time the raffle was going on, so everybody had kind of congregated over to the raffle area, and I saw both George and Andy came right up to me, and here I was thinking, oh God, I'm a celebrity now to these guys. They said, Eric, actually, we need you because you're the only one who can see over everybody to tell us what the raffle numbers are. So that was kind of not only a humbling, but it was a humbling experience. But no, at the same time, it was pretty impressive to think that this niche has really kind of grown to what it's become. I can only imagine what it's going to be like next year and the years ahead.
Right.
I agree. And the credit goes to the people that put this together, the people on the organizing committee, and Dave Marks from Passporter, because trying to put this together, I mean, imagine trying to plan a wedding that's 5 days long in Disney World for 1,500 people, and that's to a certain degree what it was like. And I have to also say thank you to everybody that took the time, that came over to the table and said hello or purchased something or just wanted to come by and mention that they listened to the show. I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your vacation and out of your day over at the Mega Meet to come over and say hello. It's great to put faces to people that have emailed the show, and so many of you were very complimentary, and I get tongue-tied when I talk because I don't, but I really do appreciate it. So, but
and one of the cool things too was we mentioned Ray and Nancy from Grumpy's Hollow, and Nancy won one of the good door prizes. I think she won the XM radio, which was really.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and another friend of the show, Brian Fee, came over. He started taking some photos because there was just so much going on. So I'm going to try and post some of his photos or a link over to his site so you can check some of those out and get an idea, if you weren't there, exactly just how expansive this room was. And a lot of people after the Mega Meet, Glenn, I'm sure, is happy to hear this, make their way over to Epcot for a number of different meets. I had my family reunion, which is just kind of an open invitation to people to come and enjoy Illuminations. But before that, we got a chance to eat over at Tep and Edo. But even before that, we got a chance to ride Spaceship Earth. And I'm going to I'd rather not say anything specific about the ride or what we liked or didn't like, because I don't think it's fair to judge it because it's not finished. And I think that any sort of review that I did or do will be so premature because it's, again, clearly not finished. There were parts that are spectacular, and we can all probably agree that the ascent is, but there is still work to be done, I think it's safe to say.
I'd go along with that.
We got to go back a bit, because Glenn and I, we have to talk about our bonding moment. Our true bonding moment of all of Mouse Fest was Glenn and I, not knowingly, met up at Greg Airbar's Disney Music meet that he had at the Dolphin right after the Mega Mouse meet. It was very small. Not a whole lot of people attended, but it was great. And I walked in the room, and there was Glenn, and here again, people that we've met and talked a little bit. All of a sudden, we instantaneously discovered we had some incredible amount of common ground.
Yeah, he actually had a great presentation. Had some photos and some videos and audio of musical pieces. It was really great, and Jeff and I hit it off, and I think we scored really well on all the trivia questions, sometimes anticipating the question before it even was asked. So it was a very good geeky moment.
Yeah, you nailed one like that, yeah.
So yeah, that night too, a number of us, my wife and I, as well as Eric and Jeff and Pat from my site, who was also very, very helpful at the table during the day over at the Mega Mouse Meet. Thank God I had you guys around during the day. We were able to try out Tep and Edo, and I don't know about you, Jeff, but I thought it was excellent and far superior to what it was beforehand. I thought the food was delicious.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and I think the only problem was that the cook and the waitress they were getting annoyed with us because we were talking so much and not paying attention to them put on the show.
And the only other thing was that we were running a little bit behind because of when our reservation was and because we were late getting seated. And we had the family reunion starting at 8 o'clock. I thought it was 8:30. So I was running late to my own meat. And to everybody that was there, I sincerely apologize. So I inhaled my food while you guys finished up. But I really like the decor upstairs. I thought the food was excellent. Without going through, menu item by menu item, I thought it was really, really good. And obviously, from hearing us talk about it on the show, I just love the Japan Pavilion, especially at night. And that's part of why I picked it for the illuminations. And you guys got nothing, so I'll move on till Sunday.
I thought it was awesome. The family reunion was really great. Everyone got to settle down, and we were able to watch the island catch on fire, which was an interesting twist to the evening.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, the island. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying the island in front of Japan, in front of the Torii Gate, literally caught on fire when one of the shells came down. And the thing that was somewhat comical was watching the boat come over. And literally, like, they're trying to splash water on it with little buckets, to get it put out. But obviously, eventually it did. So, Eric, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was going to going back to the dinner real quick. You mentioned that that our servers were probably a little frustrated with us. I think that was the breaking point for Deanna because she said, "From here on out, I'm standing between Lou and Jeff for the rest of the night. They are no longer allowed to be right next to each other."
She's like, "Can you stop talking about Disney for like 2 seconds?" I'm like, "No, man."
Then I turned to Eric, and he and I got to know each other.
Exactly.
At this point, I'm shoveling rice into my mouth, going, "I'm like, I gotta go. You guys just finish up. I'll catch you later." So, but Sunday for me was a big day because not only was there a lot of events going on, but I had 2 meets back to back. It kicked off for me with a 5:30 wake-up call from Stitch. And a wake-up call from Stitch is bad enough, but when it's at 5:30 so you can go to a 7:30 breakfast at Kona Cafe, that was even rougher. But I had the 2 meets back-to-back, really, which was the DSI with Jeff through Frontierland, as well as Trivia Fest 2007. Note to self for next year, do not schedule meets back-to-back ever again. But let's talk about the DSI. Jeff, this was actually your idea, an extension of kind of something that we do on the show. And the response was really good. I was really happy to see such a great crowd and had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, we were kind of sweating it all weekend because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know if the crowd was going to be big or small, and if it was big, were we going to be able to get everybody through Frontierland without it turning into a logistical nightmare, and we worried if people were going to be able to hear us. And it was funny was if you remember beforehand, we did kind of a quick walkthrough, and right as we were doing it, we said Cowboy Camp started. And we're like, okay, great. No, there won't be Cowboy Camp, during the DSI. Well, of course, we jinxed ourselves totally on that one because, and we circumvented it rather well. But it was interesting. We got to say a big thank you to Glenn on this because as we were gathering there by the Liberty Tree, the crowd kind of congregated around us, and we had our cards to pass out, and we couldn't. The new people that were walking up, so we drafted Glenn very quickly to hand out our postcards for us. So a big thank you there to Glenn for that.
No worries. Hey, my hat's off to you guys. So that was probably the highlight of my whole Mouse Fest was not handing out the cards. That part I could have done without. But the content was really excellent. You guys really did blow it away, and you pulled out something I didn't think would be anywhere near as interesting as it was. So you guys did a really great job, and my hat's off to you.
Yeah, that was a great event. I really enjoyed it. My parents did too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
We had another big thank you to George and Andrew, and here we go. We're bringing them up again. And I hate to do it.
How much did they pay? How much did they pay you to plug them so many times on this show?
I guess it's all for those. Jeff Pepper did our logo spiels, but no. I had to share this because I don't really think I've had a chance to talk to you guys about it. I had them be our paparazzi. I called them our paparazzi because I threw George my camera and said, "Take pictures for me." And this was really
always dangerous.
Yeah, always dangerous. I mean, yes, there were pictures of there's a great picture of Deanna screaming at somebody on the telephone. Lou, you have to figure out. But this great picture, and I forgot to tell you guys all about it that day because of all the craziness. When I was looking at my pictures that night, when I was uploading them to the computer, they took a picture, and it was of a cast member up on top of the Country Bear Jamboree. and he was literally on his radio talking to somebody, I guess, about this humongous crowd that was working its way through Frontierland. I mean, and he has this very alarmed look on his face, and George caught him. He did zoom on him and kind of picked him. So they were radioing us in at some point.
Should we take them out?
I told them about the cowboy camp out. That was the plan. Take us out with that.
The sniper in Frontierland was I was waiting for the dart to hit us in the thing. But yeah, that was, to everybody that came, and I apologize for anybody that might have been able to hear us, just because we were competing with crowds and movement and everything else like that. I appreciate you guys coming and being patient, and it was the first time, and I was really happy with how it went. And Jeff, you did an awesome job, and like you said, Glenn, we thank you for that, and thanks for Disney security for not shutting us down, which was a nice touch too. But
Deanna, actually, we have to thank Deanna, because just when we were about ready to congest the entire bridge going over to Splash Mountain, she got us in line and got us moved over.
Yeah, the voice of reason came through. It's like, it's standing on the bridge blocking everybody to get in the Big Thunder. Not the best idea in the world.
Not a good idea.
So I also want to say a special thanks to somebody who we actually ended up going to Pecos Bill and having lunch with, and that was Alex Mayer. He is a friend of mine and of the shows, and he is from the Disney Design Group, and it was really an honor to have him come and spend a couple of hours with us over in Frontierland. And he wasn't laughing in inappropriate places, so I guess it wasn't all that bad. So. But yeah, we did get to sit down and have a little bit of lunch in the back of Pecos Bills before heading over to Tomorrowland, to the Noodle Station for Trivia Fest. And this has been the 4th year that I've been putting this on. And, talk about worrying as you prepare. You never know how many people are going to show up and how many people are going to be able to get to play. And I hope everybody had a good time. It was a lot of fun. We were able to do actually 2 rounds. Congratulations to Byron Hall, who's known as the Fat Disney Geek. He's been on the show before. He's been raising money for the Dream Team project. He was not a plant, but he actually won the Apple iPod, and it was getting pretty good there. I mean, some of the guys who were in the last 4 or 5 really, really knew their stuff.
Yeah, that was a great event. I enjoyed it myself.
Yeah, I learned some new things, so I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
This is where Jeff is going to talk about sitting with George and Andrew, I'm sure, at this point. So.
Actually, Jeff
sat with Eric.
Jeff was sitting next to me, and we had this code going down because we were going to try to see how if we could legally cheat, but then I figured, it's probably not good.
I started giving him the hand signals, but he wouldn't go for it. So.
Oh, boy, I could hear cries of shenanigans being...
Yeah, exactly. We were looking out for you, Lou. We did not want to have any negativity going towards the event. So.
Oh, God.
So I threw the round.
But for the most part, for me, that was sort of when this was over. This was sort of the beginning of the end of Mouse Fest. This is when I was able to sort of wind down. Deanna had to go home, so I had to take her back to the resort, and then I just quickly stopped over at MGM just to pick something up from a buddy of mine, Jason Zucker, the watch artist over at Sunset Club Couture. And what did you guys do at this point? For the rest of Sunday.
Unfortunately for me, I had to take off for the airport, and I got this very moving voicemail from one Jeff Pepler. Because I went over to get a Dole Whip before I left to say goodbye to everybody.
I thought you left, buddy.
So I make my way back, and I hear "Speak of the Devil," and I got an opportunity to say goodbye to everybody, and then I had to head back to reality. So,
yeah, the one. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as is probably expected, I headed over to Epcot. I had dinner in the Garden Grill with Lori and Lee and Lori's mom, and we had a great character dinner over there, and I spent the evening over there.
The one other thing that I got to do on Sunday night that kind of bears mentioning was I was invited to an Illuminations dessert party over in the UK pavilion, and I've done a few of these before, and they're really special and they're really spectacular, and this one was kind of plussed big time because they gave us a little something special, and they had told me, said, come to the front as this is kind of winding down because we have something really magical planned. And next thing you know, long story short, they're taking us backstage by Millennium Village, all through the backstage areas behind all the pavilions and into Soarin'. they actually got Disney to keep Soarin' open for us for one special private ride after the park is closed. And you want to talk about a really memorable, hate to use the word magical moment, but that was really it. That was something awesome, really special.
It wasn't the special dinner with me, George, and Andrew. where if we had a recorder, we would have to bleep out every. Sorry, family friendly. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And why they're not here on the round table is just there's only so much editing I can do on a Sunday night to get the show out. But I stayed on Monday. I had a couple of meetings on Monday before kind of winding down and heading home. But I just wanted to kind of get your reactions as people in the Disney community and first-time MouseFest visitors, and for people that, like you, Glenn, you go, you live down there, you go pretty often, what you felt about the event, what stood out to you, what people stood out to you, and what you kind of thought as a whole. And
I thought the event was actually very special, and I was actually reluctant going in that it was going to be something I wasn't going to enjoy, but it was wonderful meeting all kinds of people and really taking the time and really getting to spend some time and find out what people are doing and why they're doing it. It really was moving. And I'm sure a bunch of the people that are on this podcast are people that I bonded with in the same way. It was really a great experience.
What about you, Eric?
For me, I mean, whenever I come back home and I tell people, what a great time I've always had, the first thing they always ask me is, okay, when's the next time you're going down? And, a lot of them look at me and they say, well, you're going back down again? Well, when you're at something like MouseFest, you don't have to explain yourself. And that was kind of the cool thing. Rather than, try to figure out why we're there, everybody knows why we're there. So it was just an opportunity to not only put names and voices to faces and, just kind of talk about things that, all of us are passionate about. And overall, I mean, it was just a great time.
Jeff?
Yeah, it's amazing because I was thinking back to a year ago. All I was then was I just started my blog pretty much, and I was listening to you guys, the podcasters out there, talking about what a great time you had at MouseFest, and it was something that was just like, oh man, I wish I could really do that, and that sounds really cool. And I didn't know anybody a year ago. I didn't know any of you folks, and just it amazes me that a year later I have so many new friends, and that's what MouseFest really was. It was such a great time just to be able to be with all these new friends I've made in the last year. But it feels like we've been friends for years. It's just amazing the bond that we've formed around Disney, and just it's like these instantaneous friendships. And I'm so close to these people now, and MouseFest really brought that to bear. And just it was a great time. It was one of the things you guys had said last year was it's all about being with your friends, and I really think that's what it is. To me, MouseFest was just about being with my friends.
What about you, Jess?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I couldn't agree more with Jeff because I've always been doing my blog since this past May, so it's only been within this recent year. And I've talked to people online, we've emailed, chatted, posted comments on their blogs. But it's funny how you meet people that you haven't ever met before, you just talk to online, and you can instantly start conversations like you've known each other for years, like your best friends. And it was just like a big party. And it's great when Disney geeks, so to speak, can get together and just have fun, and they can talk about extinct attractions or favorite restaurants, and everyone agrees with you and understands what you're talking about. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to next year already.
Yeah, having this being my fourth year going down to MouseFest, I went into it not skeptical per se, but I was more so interested to see what was going to happen and how it was going to go, mostly due to the fact that I knew from being on the committee and what was going on that it was going to be so much bigger than it had been in the past. And that maybe is the only downside, is because it's gotten bigger, it's more difficult to be able to see all the people that you want to see. It doesn't allow you to go to all the meets that you'd like to go to and support other people in the community. And I apologize if there was anybody that I wasn't able to go to and meets I wasn't able to go and see. But just because of the schedule, that's what it was. And it's going to be interesting next year, it's going to be between December 11th and 15th of 2008, just how much bigger it's going to be. The community is growing so fast. And that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. And with events like this and Magic Meet, they really do allow all of us to come together. And MouseFest really is all about community and friendships and getting to kind of put faces to names and getting more exposure to things maybe that you didn't realize were out there. And I want to thank all of you guys for all of your help and your support, and more than anything else, your friendship. And again, to all the listeners that came by, I cannot thank you enough for taking time, for all the nice things you said, and for coming to the meet. I hope you guys had a good time. I hope you had a good time doing the roundtable and kind of talking about and recapping things. I look forward to seeing you guys again at MouseFest next year, and obviously down in the parks. I'm going to put links up in the show notes to all of your blogs and websites. Jessica, Jeff, Glenn, Eric, guys, thank you so much.
Mangello.
Thanks, Eric.
That's it.
Is anybody else going to go?
Okay.
I wasn't next.
Hello.
Lou, thanks for having us on. It's a pleasure for me and an honor to be amongst the internet and podcasting elite.
Thanks, buddy. It's always a pleasure. I was glad you invited me.
You're quite welcome. Glenn, I'll be sending you that money via PayPal. I won't even bother sending it to you via check. So I appreciate it. Guys, thanks very much again. It was really a lot of fun.
Thanks.
It's time for the next in our Walt Disney World Please Don't Sweep Me Half Marathon Challenge contests. And of course, back here is the person that came up with the entire concept and has donated an incredible amount of his time, energy, prizes, and money to the Dream Team project, and that's Eric Hollister from geomouse.com. Welcome back, buddy.
Hello.
And this week, Eric, you thought it would be best to have Jeff Pepper come back on and present this week's Half Marathon Challenge. So, Jeff, welcome back from MouseFest, and welcome to the Half Marathon Please Don't Sweep Me Challenge.
Hey, guys. I'm glad to be here.
All right, so go ahead, guys. Take it away. Tell us what you have in store this week as we inch closer to the finish line.
Well, seeing that this is likely going to be a photo finish with Lou coming in right there, our
dead
next
last.
challenge
Dead last is fine. You could.
Our challenge is going to be a photo challenge, and what we're going to do is we're going to feature 4 photographs. One will be from each of the 4 different Walt Disney World parks, and in each one you will need to identify where the particular picture was taken. And we will go ahead and post these pictures. Eric can fill you in on the details.
Absolutely. Everybody, if you could go ahead and send your entries to marathon@wdwradio.com. You'll have up until midnight on December 26th, this is the day after Christmas, to submit all your answers. We're going to go ahead and pull all the correct answers together and draw a name. What we will do is, for the prizes, it will be a Disney World Trivia Books Volumes 1 and 2, signed by Lou Mangello. Yes, I finally finished. A DisneyWorldTrivia.com t-shirt. We're also going to throw in this week the Scene It Deluxe Disney Edition DVD board game, as well as a certificate of dedication for mile marker number 12. So please submit us your name for mile marker number 12, and your name will also go into the grand prize drawing, which will take place at the end of the marathon. geomouse.com will donate $100 to the Dream Team project, and that is challenge number 12.
We will be posting the pictures. They will be posted on geomouse.com, in the Disney World Trivia forums, and they will also be posted at 2719 Hyperion, which is www.2719hyperion.com.
Cool. All right, fellas. Thank you once again. Good luck, everybody out there. And like I said, the finish line is rapidly approaching, both literally and figuratively. Guys, thanks very much.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you again for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed our look back at MouseFest 2007. As I said, this week's show was a little bit different as we only recapped the MouseFest event. But next week, we'll be right back with our regular news, rumors, vacation planning, history, trivia, interviews, and so much more. I want to say thanks again to everybody that got a chance to meet and see again at MouseFest, and to everyone who came to my meets and events, as well as stopped by my table over at the Mega Mouse Meet. I really do appreciate it. I also want to say thanks again to Jeff, Jessica, Glenn, and Eric for their help on the Roundtable segment this week. Don't forget that the 25 Days of Disney Giving charity auctions are still going on eBay, now with all the items up for sale. I also want to say thanks again to listener David Petter for putting up his auction items for sale and being willing to donate half of his proceeds to the DisneyWorldTrivia.com Dream Team project to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. You can find links to all of his auctions in the show notes page this week over at WDWRadio.com. There you can also find links to some of my other recommended vacation planning sites and services, like OrlandoFunTickets.com. Remember, they are the largest official and authorized Disney discount ticket provider, offering you the best possible prices. Also visit my friends over at Owner's Locker, your personal storage locker that's delivered to and from your resort when you visit Walt Disney World. I used them again last week, and again, I wonder how I ever vacationed in Walt Disney World without it. Also in the show notes, I'll put a link up where you can find out more about my audio guide to Walt Disney World. The first CD is available, and it's Main Street USA. It is shipping in time for the holidays. I want to thank everybody who I met last week who gave me such great feedback about it, as well as everybody who sent an email. I really do appreciate you listening, and I'm happy to hear that you enjoyed it. I am still looking for old photos from Walt Disney World, especially from the 70s to the 90s. If you have any that you'd like to share of old or extinct attractions, shops, buildings, restaurants, just about anything, please feel free to email them to me at lou@wdwradio.com. I also want you to please keep sending in your emails with questions, comments, maybe even suggestions for the show to that email address. You can also call in your voicemails to 206-202-4WDW. Stay tuned to the end of the show. I'll play some of your voicemails from this past week. Remember, you can also come by DisneyWorldTrivia.com. Come join our forums to talk about anything Disney and anything you heard on the show. It's a very fun, friendly community. We have more than 23,000 members, but again, we are very welcoming, and if you've never joined before, please feel free to come on by this week and join in on the fun. Finally, if you like the show, please review us on iTunes, and more importantly, please help spread the word, let others know about it. I want to say thank you to my guests, as well as thanks to all of you for tuning in once again. Hope you're enjoying this holiday season. So until next week, I'll see ya.
Hey, my name's Lynn. I'm from Florida. And WDW is when you want the podcast right, and Russo's when you want the full course meal. Thanks. Bye.
Lou, this is Lou from the Walt Disney World Memories Podcast. I was just listening to your December, 7 show on my way into work, and Annalise said something about American Vibe. I just want to let everybody know I did put out, I believe, 2 podcasts of the American Vibe audio that I've recorded from visiting while there. So if anybody wants to listen to that, please go check me out at wdw-memories.net. Also wanted to comment real quick about the Animal Kingdom Lodge holiday stuff. I will ditto what you said about the tree. It is amazing, guys. If you want to see it, it's really cool. However, when we were there last year, and they had just lost the pastry chef or whomever it was that used to do the sculptures of the candy, and they did not have the display. I don't know if it'll be there this year or if it'll be there going forward. I just wanted to let you know that it was not there last year. Even though they did talk about it in the Travel Channel Holidays at Walt Disney World episode thing. Anyways, I love the show. I wanted to tell you, please keep up the great work, and I look forward to every new episode. Take care. Bye.
Hi, Lou. This is Christina, Tiki Chrissy from the forums. I loved your show this week. It was awesome, as usual. But I wanted to say that there was a post-show film at the end of the original animation tour at the Disney MGM Studios. I don't know if you remember, but after you walked through where you see the multi-plane camera and all that stuff, you went into another theater where you sat there and watched sort of magical moments of Disney films. It showed, like, Bambi's mother getting shot, like the scary moments, and then it showed, like, happy moments in Cinderella, like when her dress comes and all that good stuff. So it was like a very tear-jerky, magical moments from all the films. That was the post-show after you went through. I don't remember if it had that bit with with Michael Eisner and all that, but I think that might actually be right. So anyway, just wanted to let you know that, and thank you so much. Bye.
Hi, Lou. I thought I would share a memory I had of American Vibe. I was touring the American Adventure with my family when this great jazz group came out to the Rotunda and started performing. As I was enjoying the show, I recognized one of the singers as Jennifer from the Mickey Mouse Club show that was on the Disney Channel in the early 1990s. I liked the Mickey Mouse Club so much that I even went to a taping of the show at the Disney MGM studios. It was neat to see it become of one of the Mouseketeers.
Hey Lou, this is Cindy from the Bare Necessities, and I just wanted to say hello, and it was really a pleasure to meet your wife this trip at MouseFest. I hope you guys had a great time. I know everybody at the Let's Talk About Disney Bare Necessities podcast had a fabulous time. All right, it was nice talking to you and your wife. Take care.